Let's explore what the world of Avatar, The Last Airbender would look like 1,000 years from now, and see how everything from the Avatar to bending itself would change. More interestingly, when we look at the Avatar of the future later on in this video, we see how they have changed in the most unique way. When I say 1,000 years later, I do mean a future where the setting of the world has changed from fantasy to sci-fi. This idea was apparently one that Avatar Studios might explore with their future Avatar projects set in the near cyberpunk future. Whether these changes mean they're cooking or not is still left to be seen. Please be cooking. But I would like to take this idea one step further. Instead, the Industrial Revolution we see in Korra has advanced even further in the coming centuries. And with enough time, the nations of Avatar have learned to create advanced levels of transportation, including spacecrafts. With this, they can cross the entire star system with ease and establish colonies all across the galaxy. To make this new sci-fi vision properly work, what we need to do is establish our own world-building predictions. If you have your own world-building ideas for this project, please let me know in the comments. Let's focus on the world building of bending, say that 3 times fast, as the 4 nations better adapt to the harsh climates you can find in space. Before we go any further, I do have the goal of achieving 500 subscribers before the end of this year. If you could help me achieve this goal, that would be greatly appreciated. The first nation we will explore is the Fire Nation, and specifically, the way in which firebenders have drastically changed. The last time we left them in Korra, firebenders have grown in proficiency as it comes to manipulating fire, and lightning bending has become a far more widespread practice. Now, in the distant future, they have been able to evolve their firebending to a whole new level, specifically into a brand new form: plasma bending. Plasma being the 4th state of matter. I could do a massive dive into what plasma is, but I don't feel like doing that anyways. Just know that plasma looks like pure energy. Something like the beams in Dragon Ball Z, which is quite the image. So, as plasma benders, they will be able to create plasma into completely different forms. A source of energy that burns exponentially more than fire. With this, they can use plasma as offensive weapons. Kind of like the weapons in Star Wars, which is quite another image. But they won't just be able to create plasma, no. They will also be able to control pre-existing sources of it. And the largest amount of plasma found in space are in stars. So potentially, a large number of plasma benders could manipulate all types of stars. This level of power is essential, as they can now harness energy they can use to power entire civilizations. Of course, they could also use the power of lightning for the same purpose. Moreover, this evolution of firebending has allowed them to control regular fire on a much larger scale. The main takeaway from this is, firebenders have become the ones who control the power of the cosmos. With lightning, stars, or plasma, they are able to use bending to shape the world around them. Now, let's talk about the Earthbenders, who have a really important role on the galactic empire scale. The Earth Nation has evolved the most over the course of the show. They were able to learn that they could manipulate so much more of the world around them than they initially believed, specifically metal. And in the distant future, I envision metal benders being able to use their powers on a much more precise level. This development would be natural as their role as metal benders began to become far more important than that of earthbending. In a world where empires span entire solar systems and a lot of citizens spend years in ships, the power to bend metal has become crucial. They would be the best mechanics out there. And I guess that would also mean they would become the most destructive force out there, but let's hope they don't all come out like Toph. If there is an issue with the ship, an earthbender could easily use seismic sense to find out where the issue is and use metal bending to properly fix it. But earthbending still has its place. If a team ever makes contact with a brand new planet, Earth bending allows them to mine for minerals in the Earth's crust a lot faster, or to navigate harsh terrain more easier. Moreover, as we saw in the original series, an earthbender can bend and manipulate elements found within comets. So they can become the best mineral scavengers, as they can now go on asteroids and find new materials on them. In other words, in a distant future, the earthbenders become the best scavengers and engineers, as their skills seem to be directly suited for space missions. Trying to figure out what waterbending would look like is a bit hard, but I do think we can see a few options. Water can be found in almost everything. It is found in people, animals, and plants. Moreover, water seems to be the most ethereal element, as it can heal humans and spirits. Firstly, waterbenders would become the best healers out there. The perils of space would make it really hard to survive. If, in space, they ever identify new forms of dangerous alien life, let's just hope they don't have blood pumping through their veins, because let's just hope they don't, okay? But overall, I think the most important skill is plant bending. For those who may have forgotten, it has been shown through these two characters that waterbenders can manipulate plants through the water in them. Now, why is this important? Well, one of the biggest ordeals awaiting any big galactic civilization would be finding suitable planets, which seem to be a rarity. There are many experts who believe the best way forward would be to transform uninhabitable planets, meaning changing a planet's ecosystem so human life can live on it. And here's where plant bending can come in. With their skills, and hopefully plants already on deck, they could terraform deserted rocks into peaceful and thriving ecosystems for humans to use, making them a vital part of the entire galactic process. In summary, waterbenders are the best medics and are comparable to the earthbenders, but instead of building massive cities, they can build massive forests. This one is a bit tricky, but I do think we can identify a few different changes. There haven't been that many changes to airbending throughout the series, mainly because, well, they've all been dead for most of it. There are some things, like a stronger affiliation with the spirit world. That's pretty much it. Except for, alright, they can fly. I still think that is one of the craziest abilities, but whatever. From these, we can see a bunch of different ways in which airbending would adapt to space. Firstly, there isn't any air in space. Therefore, it would be up to the airbenders to manipulate and regulate the amount of air in their disposal, something that is obviously necessary. Another aspect that would be immediately useful for them is the fact that astronauts with some spiritual training can learn to fly. With their affinity for spirit manipulation, they are now able to leave their bodies for a while, a skill which would be very useful in space, as they can now explore areas which they couldn't before. This ability in space would make them some of the best astronauts out there, as well as the best scouters. They can easily maneuver in the depths of space and on strange rocky terrain found on distant planets. In other words, the airbenders in space would become the best rangers within a galactic empire. When I imagined the future of the Avatar world, I always saw it in the same way Guru Batik did in the original series.
Ugh, it tastes like onion and banana juice.
That's because it is. Yum, yum.
No, not that. The idea that the world of Avatar is divided into 4 different peoples is merely an illusion that the world has tricked itself into believing to be true. In reality, they are all one nation and one people.
Yes, we are all one people, but we live as if divided.
Perhaps with time, they can wake up to that truth. As I have said before, it has been 1,000 years. If the world of Avatar has not overcome this hurdle by now, then they simply never will. In this future, the Avatar would still serve whoever is the leader of this unified, bending people. The Avatar was the one who brought balance to the world. Whether it was by bringing people who wouldn't have been together, or by stopping any potential threat. And I imagine that this would be the same even in space. They would try to establish contact with other civilizations and stop any other threat to the galaxy. As the Avatar, they could do everything I said previously. They would be the best astronauts, engineers, terraformers, rangers, nurses, fighters, diplomats, Power Rangers, and hippotherapists. But they would also be so much more. The Avatar can use the power of energy bending, which could be used in a large number of different ways. As the primordial source of power, I thought they could use energy bending to reshape the cosmos itself into any shape or form they saw fit. This level of power also extends to the Avatar's influence on spirits. All spirits live on Earth, and perhaps some of them would like to follow the humans into the final frontier. But for the most part, spirits live on Earth in the spirit realm. I always imagined the spirit realm to be this place in a different dimension that transcends space. So you could be on a different planet and still have access to the spirit realm, which for some, I imagine, would be a blessing, and for others, a never-ending curse. In Korra, they made gateways to connect both worlds. And in the future, the Avatar could make more of these portals, but on a much larger scale. We could have several different portals on several different worlds, where you enter one into the spirit realm and could come out another into a new planet far, far away. This way, any spirit who still wants to live in their own world can explore larger corners of the universe while still being connected to their home, allowing both worlds to grow exponentially. Speaking of Korra, when we last saw her, she lost her connection to the previous avatars. From what I understand, the avatar state wasn't cut off from Korra. Instead, all of their previous life experiences and communication with her previous lives were lost. Meaning, moving forward, new avatars can still speak with one another, just not anyone before Korra. And after 1,000 years of avatars, any new incarnation would have gained experience as leaders on Earth, as space voyagers with established colonies, and would be able to push their powers to even further heights. This new avatar, whoever they are, will have even more useful knowledge than Aang or Korra. In other words, this avatar would eclipse everyone in power by a long shot, and be the most powerful being in the galaxy. The world of Avatar in the distant future is one that would be even more vibrant than the one we see today. And this new sci-fi setting would only mean new interesting stories would be told. But what do you think? Do you think my ideas are good? Or do you have your own that would be a lot better? Let me know in the comments and let's get a conversation going. Peace.